This is the Libertarian Dilettante, and welcome to episode 4 of my Airline Club Let's Play. So it would seem that everything is going quite well. All my routes are in the green, and they've all reached 100% capacity. If we go to the office, we find that profit has more than doubled in the last couple weeks. But I have been troubled. Like any good CEO, I've been asking myself, am I doing the most to maximize shareholder value? And the troubling conclusion that I have reached is that I'm not. The reason for this is that I have sold myself short and underestimated my own greatness. Now, when I set out to establish this airline, I was looking for a truly world-class city. And, due to my trepidation, I settled for what turns out to be a 20th rated city. Now, we all know, of course, that there are only 3 world-class cities: New York, London, and Tokyo. So in order to ensure that Ascendant Airways has the potential to become the very best airline in the world, I feel it's necessary to relocate to one of these 3 cities. Now, there are only 2 ways to do that. Either I can declare bankruptcy, which will leave me with $50 million, and I start over, or I can rebuild the airline, which in this case will leave me with only $42 million. However, I'm not willing to abandon my investors by declaring bankruptcy and seeking new investment. So I think of you, my viewers, who've watched 3 full episodes now, presumably. You are my investors, and together we will build a stronger and better airline. So, although we're losing out on $8 million, we will do things the hard way and relocate. So there were 3 places worth considering. The first is New York. Solid bonuses for business and international travel, population of 5 million, and probably the best thing about New York is that it's in the United States, which is a great domestic market with so many different potential destinations. However, the problem with the United States, as I've mentioned in this game, is that a lot of the cities are quite a bit smaller than they would be in real life. Still, there's a huge amount of potential, and if you recall, New York JFK is the number 1 airline or airport in the game. The second possibility is London. So here's London Heathrow, nearly twice the size of JFK's population, and with the same bonuses plus a small bonus for tourism. London is also in a very good market because Europe is, all of the EU countries are considered allied, and unlike the United States, there are many cities with large populations. Now, they're quite a bit closer, so that may limit profits a bit relative to New York. But still, London has enormous potential. And finally, there's Tokyo, which I'm not actually going to consider all that strongly. The bonuses aren't that great. The population is very large, and the average income level is high. The problem, I think, with East Asia is, well, for one thing, I'm just not very familiar with it. And for another, all of the the high value cities, for the most part, are clustered in this region, which I guess if we compare it to Europe is probably kind of similar. But yeah, I'm just not as familiar with Japan. Let's take a quick look. Connected airports, 260, and about half of the transfers are transit. But really, I'm going to narrow my search to London and New York. Now, New York, if we view the airport, we see there are a huge number of connected airports, of course, and a lot of the passengers are transit passengers. So New York is really capitalizing on being a hub, and they still have a very substantial amount of direct passengers as well. But if we look at who the biggest player is here, it is Galactic Republic, probably because he has his headquarters here. And your headquarters gives you more slots than just a regular hub, which is why I insist on moving my headquarters and not simply opening a hub in one of these cities later. So Galactic Republic has a very large number of passengers here. If we quickly look at his network, which we can find very easily because he's the largest airline of all, we will see that from New York, he has just a ton of domestic flights to cities within the United States. And then also a lot of international flights as well. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that in addition to being the largest single airline, he's also a member of the largest alliance, which gives him a lot of bonuses that let him create more routes. So I won't necessarily have that same potential. Now, if we compare that to London, well, here we go. We see that there aren't actually that many really big airlines that have a headquarters here. The largest, in fact, is Czech Airlines, and this is roughly half of what Galactic had at JFK. So let's take a quick look at Czech Airlines, view his flight map, and of course we're going to take a particular look at his London routes. And you can see there aren't really a lot. I mean, they must carry a lot of passengers. He's mainly using it as an international hub, it seems. And of course, London has outstanding potential as an international hub, more so than JFK because of its larger population, I think. And really, geography is mostly a limitation for purposes of domestic and regional flights. So my thinking is there's more potential to be had in London. And one more thing I'm going to point out here is that only half of the passengers are transit passengers. So if that were to increase, then I think London Heathrow would be right on par with JFK. If we went back and found the original rankings I looked at and compared the different airports, yeah, if London had more transit passengers, I think it would catch up to JFK. So, with all of that in mind, I'm going to scrap this beautiful network I have created and throw caution to the wind in order to capitalize on the greater potential found in London Heathrow. Now, I have taken a look at the flight map, just as I did with other cities. I plan on using the same basic strategy, and it's harder to read. London Heathrow has just a huge number of flights coming out of it, but there are cities within range of my Embraer 120 that I like that don't have competition. And because the UK has a higher average income and London Heathrow, it has all those bonuses, it's going to be more promising than flying out of Istanbul. And also because the UK has better relations with the countries in the EU that I can reach. And these destinations are going to generally have higher income levels as well. So with all of that in mind, I think I'm going to be able to successfully start making profits out of London Heathrow. I'm willing to risk everything to find out, and together we will build a greater and more ascendant airway. So let's take the plunge. We will go ahead and rebuild the airline. I've never done this before, actually. Confirm. Okay. Let's build our headquarters. Oh, wait a minute. Oh yeah, that's right, we have to view the airport first, and then we build our headquarters. Okay, so, no problem. Let me just make double sure we're at London Heathrow with its enormous population. Everything looks good. Confirm that. And now I'll probably put a cut in here. I'm just going to go around and find some cities that I can fly to. I will rely on the same Embraer 120 because it seemed to be working out before, and there's no reason not to. The only reason I might consider another plane would be if I wanted to get the range. I still plan on putting a base in Naples relatively quickly for the exact same reason as before. London is a great city so long as I have slots, but I don't want to have to pay. It's going to be even more expensive, I'm sure. $28 million to upgrade that base. Yeah, that's quite a lot. So for now, I will just focus on finding some cities, buying some Embraer 120s, and setting up routes. Okay, so it turns out that was quite easy. Now everyone knows that the English people have, or England rather, has terrible weather, and so they like to travel to Spain. And for whatever reason, the other airlines have not seemed to capitalize fully on this. So I'm going to set up a route to Cadiz. I guess the city is Rota or something like that. I'm going to go ahead and plan the flight. There's 385 direct demand already. Now, out of an abundance of caution, I will go ahead and drop the price and make sure my service quality is not rock bottom. And that should be all I need to get this underway. In addition, Cordoba looks like an excellent option. So same thing, we'll take the price down a couple notches 5 flights a week, service level up a notch. I will create that route. Now I'm going to need another plane. I guess I can grab that in just a minute. Valencia is also wide open for reasons I don't quite understand. So I'm going to grab another one of these. Purchase that. 5 flights. I'm not hesitating to go up to 5 flights because there's so much direct demand, especially here, but even the other cities had more than enough direct demand. I will create that route. And I'm going to head over to Italy. Seems like this city gets overlooked, but it has quite a large population. Only a scale 2 airport, however. One more nice thing about this city is that I actually still have my 6.2 awareness left over and 2 loyalty from when I was operating out of Istanbul. When you reorganize, you get to keep your awareness and loyalty. I think when you go bankrupt you lose that, but I'm not even sure of that actually. But it's certainly not worth $8 million difference, but I guess it's nice to have. So let's set this up. I'm going to use my last 5 slots here. And I could probably just take this down 1 notch. Yeah, sure. Okay. And then I want to come over to my office and raise my service level back up to 10. I still have $24 million, so I'm hoping that will be enough that once my slots start rolling in for London Heathrow, I'll be able to buy some more Embraer 120s, and maybe there'll be a whole bunch of cities that are just as good as the ones I found. I wish I could remember what the direct demand was from Istanbul to this Italian city, because I'm pretty sure it's a lot higher from London Heathrow. Yeah, there's no way it was 907. So far, I guess, London Heathrow does indeed look a lot more promising. And, oh, one more thing I want to check. Can I get to Naples? I bet I can. Looks like I can with a 120. Yes, I can indeed. Okay, so at some point I'll want to be doing that, probably in the next session. All right, there's probably not much more to do right at the moment, but our glorious rebirth is underway, and our reascent is about to begin. Okay, thanks for watching, and of course, if you've enjoyed, go ahead and give me a like.